Hi, and welcome to Tap into Hudson. I'm Steve Lennox, and I'm the publisher of Tap into Bayonne, Tap into Jersey City, and Tap into Hoboken. Since we started this show back in October, and certainly since we launched Tap into Hoboken and Tap into Jersey City in March, our local news coverage has been dominated by COVID-19. Our day-to-day lives have been dominated by this public health crisis. We've lost friends, we've lost family, we've had to quarantine, we've had to isolate, we've had to temperature check, we've had to wash our hands better, we've had to wear gloves, we've had to mask up. It's been a difficult couple of months, almost 12 months now. We've faced the challenges. We've always said that there's hope, but now there really is light at the end of the tunnel. And that light is coming from the vaccinations that are finally being distributed slowly but surely, but in a very methodical way, as you'll see in Hudson County with our guests that we're going to bring on. David Drummeller is the Deputy County Administrator for Hudson County. Carrie Nawrocki is the Health Director for the Hudson Regional Health Commission, And they, at the direction of County Executive Tom DeGise, have been leading this drive to get Hudson County residents vaccinated. They've been doing it in big numbers, held back only by the fact that we can't get enough vaccinations delivered to Hudson County. And that's something we're going to talk about. With that, though, I want to switch over to David and Carrie. I want to welcome you both to the show today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And you guys, you're doing wonderful work. Let me start by saying that. Let me just, congratulate you and thank you for all the work you're doing at the direction, of course, of Executive DeGise. Why don't you start by telling the audience, where are you right now?
We're here at the Juno Center in Kearney. It's in South Kearney. It is, and we're actually in the Emergency Operations Center inside of the OEM portion of the building. Down below us is where we're doing the vaccinations, and we're probably doing about 12 cars, which equates to about 17 to 20 vaccinations every 5 minutes, as the garage doors go up and as they go down downstairs.
Carrie, can you actually go a little bit more into the process? I was there, of course. I saw you open the facility in December. It's a very impressive operation, military-like almost, very precise. But maybe you can tell our readers and our viewers a bit more about how it works.
Sure. We have different stations, as Dave mentioned. So we have 12 cars coming in every 5 minutes or so. And we have our nurses and registration folks set up for each car that comes in. They'll line up outside. And once we go through that batch of 12, the 12 cars then go outside and they line up in an observation area where they are observed for 15 minutes just to make sure they don't have any adverse reactions to the vaccine.
Carrie, thank you for that. And you've done about 16,000 doses so far since late December. But I think you would be doing a lot more if you could. Is that the case? What's holding us back from doing even more right now?
That's right. So we can do 1,300, maybe even 1,500 vaccinations a day here with the setup. It's very efficient, and the drive-through setup has worked very well for us. But we are not getting, there's just a short supply of vaccine right now.
And we hope that that supply might increase in the coming months. I know we have a new president, obviously, and he's talked about sort of growing the supply chain, so to speak. So is that something you're looking forward to in Hudson County?
Yes, absolutely. We let the state, we put in our orders through the state health department, and we let them know every week that we are prepared to receive much more.
And David, the facility there in Kearney, that's not the only place in Hudson County that folks are getting vaccinated, of course, right? Are you coordinating with the municipalities? How's that working?
Yeah, actually, Hudson County throughout the state has a relatively unique way of distributing the vaccine. We have our hub here, which is a high volume drive-through facility. And then we have municipal partners throughout the county that are also receiving doses, and they're additional what we call pod sites. And these pod sites are there for folks within the municipality who maybe don't have computer access, maybe don't have the means to a car, and we're able to service those folks with the limited supply of vaccine that we have through our municipal partnerships that we have with the health officers in the various municipalities.
Here's a question that's really been on my mind for months, Carrie and Dave, for both of you, and we don't have too much time left, but this is something we've never gone through before. I mean, this is unprecedented. What trained you guys to be prepared? I mean, you seem to ramp up pretty quickly in Hudson County. I think quite impressively. Maybe I'm a little biased, but what sort of training did you have to do what you're doing now?
Well, I mean, probably the best training that we had to develop this site is, we formed the same partnership when we were doing COVID testing. And we've done probably 22,000 COVID tests since we started in a drive-through procedure. And we learned a lot of lessons over the months on how to effectively get cars in, get cars out, deal with nurses, deal with registrations and things like that. So, that learning curve helped us to basically be ready to hit the ground running here. We'd be lying to you if we didn't say we weren't constantly adjusting everything to try to make it better and make it more efficient, which we have done. But that experience, really helped us to build the site here to be able to, do what and produce the throughput that we produce here.
And if I could just jump in from a public health perspective, we have been preparing for public health emergencies since 9/11. We started our preparations really when we thought we needed to deal with anthrax, and there were a lot of bioterrorism threats. So our public health emergency preparedness program actually began in 2001. So, we were able to hit the ground running, and especially with the partnership with the county, that the support from the county makes the biggest difference.
No, it's great, Carrie and David. Thank you for that. We're going to take a short break. When we come back in a couple of minutes, I want to talk a little bit about an awareness campaign that was launched earlier this week. It's, of course, an issue that we're still facing, not just the lack of vaccines in some cases, but also some folks that just still aren't comfortable going for the vaccine, not comfortable getting that needle in their arm yet. So with that, we'll take a short break, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Stevens Jersey City Ford, located right off of NJ 440 North. Across the Hudson Mall is your one-stop for all your automotive needs. Check out Ford's latest models like the 2020 Ford Fusion with its stylish looks and hybrid options, or the unparalleled high-performance 2020 Ford Mustang. The 2020 Ford F-150 Raptor is ready for those rugged off-road terrains with trail control. Need a mid-sized truck for your towing and hauling? The 2020 Ford Ranger will deliver. The 2020 Ford Escape is a luxury SUV that was made for comfort and adventure on the go. Returning is Ford's legendary Bronco, which takes you back to the true meaning of off-roading. They are now available for pre-order in our showroom or on our website. Let us help you find your next vehicle. Stevens Jersey City Ford, 201-432-7272.
Hi, and welcome back to Tapped into Hudson. We're having a great conversation right now about vaccinations and how well Hudson County has been handling the vaccination process. Even with all the education and the outreach and everything we know now about this public health crisis, about the virus, there's still some, maybe rightly so, that are concerned about getting a vaccination. Maybe they feel it's been rushed. Maybe there's a historical reason why they're not comfortable getting something put in their arms the way they are. So Hudson County earlier this week actually launched an awareness campaign. And before we go back to Carrie and David, I want to show the first PSA that was out there. So we're going to switch to that now. It's about a minute, and it's talking about the campaign and getting a vaccine.
I was initially very nervous. However, I feel so hopeful because I know that this vaccine is providing me with another layer of protection. I wanted to be able to do whatever I could to put an end to this pandemic. Trust the science. Be a part of the solution. Do your part. Do whatever you can to put an end to this pandemic. And getting vaccinated is one giant step in that direction. The end of the pandemic would mean everything to me because it would allow me and others to be able to live the lives that we have been so accustomed to living, to be able to interact with our family, with our friends, our colleagues, and so many others. My experience has been that this is a well-run site. It's like a well-oiled machine. Everyone knows their role and they carry it out very smoothly. It's been a good experience.
There you go. I think Ms. Toon said it so well there, Carrie, that she wants to make this go away, this public health crisis disappear. We know the only way to do that really is to get this vaccination, yet there's so many people still concerned about it. Carrie, as a health professional, can you talk a little bit more about some of these concerns, why you think they exist, and what we can keep doing to help alleviate them?
Well, I think people are nervous because it is new, and obviously this is a situation we've never been in before. But just as Dory said in that PSA, this gives us hope, and this is safe, and this is an effective vaccine. This has been tested on thousands of people, and this is really our opportunity to get back to life as we knew it. Another important public health message as well is that we do want people to know that while we are vaccinating, and this is a safe vaccine, and this is a very important program, we do want people to continue social distancing and wearing masks until we have reached that point where it's no longer necessary. But this is a safe vaccine, and we believe it is effective, and this is our chance. This is our chance to get back to life how we remembered it before the pandemic.
Yeah. David, can you talk a little bit more about that, the vaccination, the fact that we have to come for 2 doses? Why is that? Why is it not just 1 dose?
Well, from what we've all seen in the emergency use authorization that the FDA has given these, the efficacy of the first Moderna shot is pretty good. It's somewhere around 80%. And then if we get this booster shot, it brings everybody up to about 94%. And, having that level of protection with that second dose is really, well, it's first of all both amazing. It's far higher than any of us were expecting any of the vaccine to be. And, it's amazing to know that we can offer that level of protection to folks to keep them out of hospitals and to keep them from clogging up ICUs and emergency rooms, and hopefully allow hospitals to get back to the work that they were doing pre-COVID, and treating our residents for regular everyday conditions, and having lots of capacity to do so.
That's great. And Carrie, when we talk about getting this vaccination, you said there's a 15-minute window after they get the shot in their arm where they, you look for any adverse effects. Have there been any adverse effects that you've witnessed there at the Carney Center yet?
We haven't witnessed any that were true adverse events. We had a couple of people who may have had some anxiety after the vaccination, which, it is pretty normal. It is something different. Yeah. There's a lot of commotion here, and we try to make it a very smooth process. But, we have not had any adverse events at this site.
That's great to hear. And of course, you are well prepared with the whole medical staff that's there. And I think before we wrap this up, Carrie, I think we're going to close with you a little bit here. Once we go in and we get the vaccination, just let our readers know we're not 100% protected. I think David touched on that a little bit. But getting the vaccination doesn't mean we're back to normal immediately, does it? We still have to, as you said, wear those masks, use the sanitizer, and we could still potentially be carrying it, right? We could still be carrying the virus. Do I have that accurate?
That's right. It's not 100% known whether or not we can carry and transmit the virus. So it's important to know that while you may be vaccinated and you may not become seriously ill from COVID, if you are carrying it and you are in close contact with someone who is not vaccinated, you may be able to transmit it. So that's why we're still wearing masks. We're still practicing social distancing until a large portion of our population is vaccinated, and we don't have to worry about transmitting it to someone who may be vulnerable.
Thank you, Carrie. David, before we wrap up here in about 10 seconds, can I count on you to give us sort of one more message of positivity?
Well, we're here, and we're going to be here as long as it takes to get as many people vaccinated as we can, so that we can hopefully get life back to as normal as it was prior to the pandemic.
David, Carrie, thank you both so much for joining us. I know you're so busy. I know you want to get back to the floor of the vaccination distribution center there. But David Drummeller, Deputy County Administrator, Carrie Nawrocki of the Hudson Regional Health Commission. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for everything you're doing to make Hudson County healthy. We hope you'll stay safe, keep those masks on, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets. Price to fit your budget. Installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City. 201-792-2712.
Pen and Pencil Properties, Jersey City. Shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces that address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment. Adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at penandpencilproperties.com. Pen and Pencil Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hi, welcome back to Tapped into Hudson. I'm Steve Lenox, and I'm the publisher of Tap into Hoboken, Tap into Jersey City, and Tap into Bayonne. We just finished two very important segments talking about the vaccination, how we're going to use that vaccine to end COVID-19, get us back to life as normal as possible. But until then, we're still going to take advantage of the resources that are available to us. One of those resources that we found with Tap Into that we love in every community where we do local news is the local library. They've become such important parts of their community, none more so than in the city of Bayonne. And we have JP Pocarro, who's the Bayonne Library Director, joining us today. JP, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, this is really great. I'm excited to be able to chat with everyone.
No, this is great, JP. I mean, you first reached out to me, I don't know, a year ago or 9 months ago, and you, I guess probably more like 9 months ago, you started talking about how the library was evolving and coming to work within the structure of COVID-19. But before we get into all that, JP, what I want to talk about is the role that a library plays in the community. You know, it sounds very cliche, but I know that the library is so much more than just the books that we go in and borrow. Tell us about that a little bit. What role does the library play in Bayonne?
You know, it's really interesting. You can, one way to think of it is lifelong learning, right? But also we sort of are at the kind of the intersect of a lot of different organizations in town, right? So the first thing I could say, what we were chatting about right before this started is we've got sort of collections of other things that are important here in town. So we were just chatting about right when you walk in the front door, you see this Holocaust memorial, right? And we can chat about that in a second. But also you walk in, we've got art by artists from town going back, you know, generations. We've got collections that really you can trace the history of Bayonne through our archives, which is an important public record. I mean, just the idea of having a public record of a town, you know, we just went through our 150th anniversary here in Bayonne. We had big celebrations all year. I was very glad to be part of the Bayonne 150 committee. And so that's another sort of role we play, is just, you know, the keeper of all the things that are, you know, sort of our history. One thing that Bayonne particularly loves about their library is the beautiful historical building that we have too. So besides the fact that sure we've got books and that's what a library is, we also just sort of are there to connect folks, you know, through say that Bayonne 150 committee or our archives or our art collection, or you know our children's room and all of that. Right before COVID started, I was doing my own, like personally doing story time with the babies, and I do miss the babies, but we moved some of that online too, which we could talk about if you'd like.
Oh no, JP, we're definitely going to get to that. But before we do, you know, as you said, before we sort of went live here, we were talking about that art installation that sits out front. I didn't know about it until about 4 hours ago when Al Sullivan, our reporter, sent me a story about it. These bronze coats that were actually worn by victims of the Holocaust. I mean, how did that come to the city of Bayonne? That's an amazing story.
You know, the Bayonne is a really interesting city. You just geographically sitting right next to New York City, being sort of, you know, we were host to a lot of different communities as American history has moved forward. I even just found out not long ago that Leon Trotsky lived in Bayonne for a while, and just there's a lot of just interesting people that have come through Bayonne. And one of those communities, we have a very large, strong Jewish community. And so, you know, they put up that Holocaust memorial long before I was at the library. And yeah, they're actually bronze dipped, coats that were, unfortunately were part of the whole Holocaust. And, the library as a place to sort of remember history is probably a good place to have a memorial like that.
JP, you touched on the diversity of Bayonne a little. Of course, the huge Jewish population, and there's a Latino population now, and I believe an Egyptian population that's growing. What does the Bayonne Public Library do? You as the director, how do you try to cater to all of those different ethnicities and all those different groups? How do you make them all feel at home in one space?
Yeah, that's an interesting question that has gotten really difficult to answer in COVID, because it's a lot easier to get people together when you can get people together, right? And so that's something that's kind of on my mind constantly. And so I am looking forward to, I watched the last segment, by the way. I am looking forward to when we hit herd immunity and we can sort of open up the library again. But, but just by me trying to stay, personally, I mean, me as a person, as the library director, trying to stay on different committees, reaching out to different folks, is right now how I personally am keeping the library involved in those communities. Just right before we closed last March, we had just had some of the Bayonne interfaith folks out to the library. And interfaith is a really interesting group in Bayonne, as a little aside, because a lot of the faith communities in Bayonne are also happen to be ethnic communities, and so it's a really interesting group to sort of say, we have all these different religions, we have all these different ethnicities, and the interfaith group is how we combine, and we use the library as our space, and so we had just started talking about, we're going to build a really cool interfaith collection, meaning books and media and things like that, like an actual library. And that was going to be a really great outreach tool. We have a large foreign language book collection that I will be growing exponentially over the next 10 years. We because the library historically was a place to assimilate and to learn the English language. But where we are right now in libraries is it's not just that, but it's also a place for you to, learn in whatever language you speak, and be who you are, and be comfortable with who you are, and feel welcome. I would really love to think of the library as the place where people are welcome. That's why that was actually part of how the interfaith group ended up at the library, because there was if you're meeting at a church, you're maybe, or a synagogue or whatever, you're playing on an away team. Here at the library, everyone's the home team, and so I really love that little part about the library.
That's great, JP. We're going to take a That's okay. We're gonna take a short break, JP, and when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the evolution of it being a physical space-based library to what you've been doing online, because I find it fascinating. Absolutely. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just one path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to NewportNJ.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. NewportNJ.com. Newport, live like you want.
Hi, and welcome back to our final segment of Tapped into Hudson. We're joined now with JP Pocarro, the library director of the Bayonne Public Library. JP, before we took the break there, we started getting into this evolution that you've had to go through, that we've all had to go through, to being in physical spaces, to doing everything virtually. The Bayonne Library has really done that very well, JP. I've got to commend you. You sent me a whole bunch of virtual events, but tell me a little bit about that evolution. How's that worked out for you?
Let me say, libraries, let me give credit to librarians all over the country. We, in my profession, because this is what I do, we've been doing this for years, really trying to, what's the next way we can reach out to folks? What's the next way we can reach out to folks? One example I give pretty often is, I used to be able to I want to say actually almost 20 years ago now, used to be able to email the library, right? Email a librarian. Only really recently have you been able to email some other municipal department and use that as a sort of a primary means of communication. So as unfortunate as COVID is and everything that has happened, libraries were really, really pretty ready, and prepared to, offer services online, which we have been doing. So, we've had this thing called the OPAC, which is our online catalog. Those old card catalogs, those have been online for 20 years. And so what we've done in Bayonne, you can just go on our website, click through, order a book, and we'll have it, if you don't want to come into the building, you can pick it up, kind of like, that people pick up their pizzas and all of that. Personally, myself, I read through, I think, 20 novels on our library Facebook. And our new librarian, Melody, she read through even more. And our children's librarian, Paula, she does weekly programs. Just yesterday, I saw that she did a, how to make slime program. In April, we'll be doing a full day autism awareness event online. So what we're doing is we're trying to use our website, trying to use our Facebook page and our Instagram. Please do follow us on there, by the way, our Instagram and our Facebook, and using that to reach out to folks. And, besides the fact that we also are physically open now for book checkout. So, I'm actually really excited that we also, besides offering all the things online that we're offering, we can still offer some in-person services. And I'm looking forward to when we can, be fully open. But I'm proud of what we've done here at the library. And just on a personal level, those moments of me reading with everyone was very special. I know we're almost out of time, but I want to tell one little story. So for Christmas, JP, please. I had one boy for Christmas. He read through he read through all the novels with me that we read through on the library Facebook, and he got me a little gift. It was a little ornament statue from Wind in the Willows, which was one of our favorite books that we read. And it was just so touching that, not only was it a nice experience for me personally to have read all this, but I have this sort of tangible little thing that I'll always be able to remember all the great times we all spent together reading all those books. And you can go to our Facebook page if you'd like to see. They're all still up there, and our librarian Melody put all of the different books together. So if you want to read through them still today, just click on there. You can pick a book and read it.
And JP, you can count on us to continue to spread the word about your wonderful events. Just keep letting us know, because we love sharing the stories about the Bayonne Public Library. I mean, you've touched so many lives over the years, and certainly in the past 12 months. I mean, you've been sort of a refuge in a terrible storm. JP, before we wrap this up in probably about 15 seconds, this might be a terrible question to ask a librarian, but what is your favorite book, JP?
Oh, goodness gracious. I love the author Marshall McLuhan. So if you've heard of the phrase, the medium is the message, his book called The Medium is the Massage is just my absolute favorite book. And it's something that I couldn't read online. It's something you really need to hold the physical book in your hands. You couldn't do it as an ebook, which, by the way, we offer thousands of ebook titles on our website also, so which for free. So I forgot to mention that. Please do that. But The Medium is the Massage. You need to hold it in your hands, and it's my favorite book.
JP, thank you so much for that. Thanks for that rave review. We're going to look for The Medium is the Massage. I'm sorry we're out of time. We got so much we can talk about. We can go on for hours probably, JP. You're so passionate. But with that, we're going to wrap up this week's episode of Tapped into Hudson. I'm so glad that you decided to join us again. Until we see you next week, please stay safe, stay healthy, and please visit the Bayonne Public Library. Thank you.